happening, gang? It's your boy Retro back again with another reaction video. Yeah. Today we got another huge update. You guys can probably already tell that it is going down. Just by that title alone, you guys are definitely going to want to check this one out. So we're now seeing another crushing blow being delivered to the case of that corrupt New York Attorney General Letitia James, as we're now seeing that she could potentially be on the hook for millions in a new civil fraud lawsuit, guys. I'm excited to get into it. Turn up straight into it. All I ask that you guys please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and without further ado, let's get straight into it, folks. Check this one out. All right, guys, so we've got our lead man, Sam E. Antar. He is the man, the myth. He's been at it since the beginning, and actually an independent fraud investigator looking into Letitia James's crime. He's now coming out with a new breaking news update. We know originally she was being prosecuted criminally for criminal charges. We weren't really thinking about civil suit charges, but now we got Sam E. Antar pointing out the fact that we should probably be going for civil charges as well. Let's check that out. He is now tweeting out why the DOJ should pursue civil enforcement against Letitia James alongside the criminal charges that we initially seen coming down the pipeline, then stating the advantages that would come with the civil suit on this Letitia James, saying that FOIA advantages play a part in this when there is a lower burden of proof. Basically saying that, in a civil suit, you don't have to prove it beyond a reasonable doubt. There just has to be a preponderance of evidence versus the beyond reasonable doubt that we see coming with criminal charges. So somewhere between, I would say, a little bit over 50%. You don't have to prove it to the fullest extent. Like with criminal charges, you got to get at least 90 to 99% proven beyond reasonable doubt. Also have a faster timeline coming with civil suits versus criminal charges. Then you get immediate discovery powers that can expose literally everything on Letitia James, and then up to $1.1 million per penalty violation for Letitia James. So she could be in for over, a couple million at this point, with the amount of penalties we've seen between that Virginia property and the Brooklyn residence. Miss Letitia James could be on the hook for at least 2.2 million right there. And that's just the beginning. Then Antar drops the evidence on us, big bombshell, saying that James' own smoking gun email proves her intent. August 2023, she wrote property will not be her primary residence, and then signed a sworn declaration 15 days later claiming the opposite for $100,000 in fraudulent benefits. This all speaking in reference to that Virginia property that we all know her niece occupied and not her. Then goes on to say there's proven strategy as a former Crazy Eddie CFO who testified in both criminal and civil cases. I witnessed how parallel proceedings maximize accountability while criminal convictions were limited. Civil enforcement recovered $83 million plus even from a defendant who beat the criminal charges. So this basically saying that in addition to the criminal prosecution that we've been seeing ongoing with Letitia James, we could have a civil suit which moves a lot faster and could literally parallel the charges that we're seeing with the criminal case, and get to that point a lot faster, even open up room for discovery to be shared from the civil suit over to the criminal charge, criminal prosecution, and speed that thing up as well. Then goes on to say that James' exposure is Brooklyn, 20 plus years of falsifying unit counts on federal loans, and then in Virginia, false residency, fraud on GSE-backed mortgages. Both properties equal multiple FOIA violations. Then he speaks on the urgency of this one with the 2026 election approaching and James running for re-election. Voters deserve an answer. Civil discovery can secure evidence while criminal prosecutors can build their case. And this can be shared back and forth. The only thing is that criminal prosecutors can't technically, they can't share their discovery or their evidence with the civil. Those are coming after with the civil charges. But on the other hand, if you flip it around, the civil prosecutors can definitely share any information or evidence that comes in that discovery with the criminal prosecutors to help them build their case. So this could only benefit, the prosecutors in their criminal case. And if worse comes to worse, we're putting Letitia James up for two different cases. We're putting her up for the civil fraud. We're putting her up for the criminal charges. And one of them could hit home, one of them could miss, or both of them could hit home or both of them could miss, but I think this is definitely worth the shot. And then he speaks on the irony, which is why we're making this video. Letitia James, ironic, up on that high horse, coming after Donald Trump and then committing the same crimes behind the scenes, all while doing this. We got James prosecuting Trump for property misrepresentations, declaring, quote unquote, no one is above the law, and now she is facing identical scrutiny. What the documentary evidence a few fraud cases can match. Which then leads us to this clip I want to show you guys. This is Miss Letitia James up on the highest of high horses, basically coming after Donald Trump, saying she's so happy, claiming that no one's above the law, happy that Donald Trump has finally been taken down. He's being held accountable for his actions. All the while, now knowing we know now, Letitia James is literally committing mortgage fraud, falsifying these documents on these loans in order to get more favorable loan terms and interest rates, but yet coming after Donald Trump, saying that he misrepresented or overvalued his asset. Take a look at Letitia. You cannot make this kind of stuff up.
For years, Donald Trump engaged in deceptive business practices and tremendous fraud. Donald Trump falsely, knowingly inflated his net worth by billions of dollars to unjustly enrich himself, his family, and to cheat the system. Donald Trump may have authored the art of the deal, but he perfected the art of the steal. This long-running fraud was intentional, egregious, illegal, and he did all of this with the help of the other defendants, his 2 adult sons and senior executives at the Trump Organization. And so, after 11 weeks of trial, we showed the staggering extent of his fraud and exactly how Donald Trump and the other defendants deceived banks, insurance companies, and other financial institutions for their own personal gain. We proved just how much Donald Trump, his family, and his company unjustly benefited from his fraud. Today, the court, once again, ruled in our favor and in favor of every hard-working American who plays by the rules. Donald Trump and the other defendants were ordered to pay $463.9 million. That represents $363.9 million in disgorgement, plus $100 million in interest, which will continue to increase every single day until it is paid. Donald Trump, the former chief financial officer of the Trump Organization, Alan Weisselberg, and the former controller of the Trump Organization, Jeffrey McConney, are each banned from serving as an officer or director of any New York company for 3 years. Mr. Weisselberg and Mr. McConney are also banned for life from serving in a financial management role in any New York company. Donald Trump Jr. and Eric Trump are banned from serving as an officer or director of any New York company for 2 years. And Donald Trump and his companies are banned from applying for loans from any New York bank or financial institution for 3 years. A new independent director of compliance will be created at the Trump Organization to ensure the company establishes internal protocols and meets financial reporting obligations. And the current independent external monitor will continue to oversee the company's financial dealings and ensure this fraud cannot continue. I want to be clear. White-collar financial fraud is not a victimless crime. When the powerful break the law and take more than their fair share, there are fewer resources available for working people, small businesses, and families. And everyday Americans cannot lie to a bank about how much money they have in order to get a mortgage to buy a home, or a loan to keep their business afloat, or to send their child to college. And if they did, our government would throw the book at them. I want to thank the entire incredible and hardworking team in my office that tried this case, because the scale and the scope of Donald Trump's fraud is staggering. and so too is his ego and his belief that the rules do not apply to him. Today, we are holding Donald Trump accountable. We are holding him accountable for lying, cheating, and a lack of contrition, and for flouting the rules that all of us must play by. Because there cannot be different rules for different people in this country, and former presidents are no exception. This decision is a massive victory for every American who believes in that simple but fundamental pillar of our democracy, that the rule of law applies to all of us, equally, fairly, and justly.
All right, so that was Letitia James up on the highest of her high horses, coming down on Donald Trump. That was directly after she got that civil suit judgment in favor of Donald Trump paying some over $500 million back to the state of New York. And you really can't make this stuff up. All the while, she's calling Donald Trump's so-called crimes egregious, so terribly wrong, while she's behind the scenes all the while doing the same exact thing. That's Letitia James for you. And now that it's, the tables have turned so quickly, she never seen it coming. Now we're seeing that the tables have quickly turned on her. Now she's relying on the defense of this is all baseless. This is simply a political revenge tour from Donald Trump. They have no merit, no base for these claims against me, when it's all right there. It's all in black and white. We're saying that this thing is getting worse and worse as the days go on. I just told you guys a couple days ago about Letitia James and her troubles. It's not going to stop. We're only at the tip of the iceberg. There is so much more to come. Now we have Sam E. Antar breaking it down, saying that she could be up for millions if we bring civil charges, a civil suit against Miss Letitia James. And for those of you who are like me that love research, that want to know the entire scoop, I got an article for us to read through very briefly, just to fill us in, to make sure we've got all the bits and the pieces that come with this whole Letitia James civil suit. Open it up. So we'll hop straight into that. All right, so this article I found, it came from Sammy Antar's White Collar Fraud, titled Gift Wrap for DOJ Part 2, the civil case against Miss Letitia James. Starts off by saying when federal prosecutors refer Letitia James for criminal investigation on April 14th, 2025, they may have missed their most powerful weapon. Criminal cases drag. Civil enforcement hits fast and puts witnesses under oath. All right, so we got the strategic advantage. Criminal prosecution isn't the only weapon in the DOJ's arsenal. A parallel civil case under FREA offers lower burden of proof, powerful discovery tools, and faster resolution, while potentially strengthening the criminal case through depositions and documents productions that can lock in testimonies or corner James into pleading the fifth. Parallel proceedings, a proven strategy. This parallel isn't theoretical. It's exactly how complex financial fraud cases are handled. In the Crazy Eddie case, DOJ pursued criminal charges while the SEC simultaneously brought civil enforcement actions. While the DOJ couldn't share criminal investigation materials with the SEC due to grand jury secrecy rules, the SEC could, however, share its civil discovery and findings with the DOJ. The SEC's broader scope and lower burden of proof proved crucial, ultimately finding multiple Antar family members liable for securities fraud, regardless of their criminal case outcomes. Then we have a list of Antar's family and their criminal convictions, or if they face criminal convictions, alongside the civil penalties that they faced. And we can see that amounted total exceeded over $83 million from the defendants who either beat criminal charges or never even criminally charged. Wow. Then it goes on to say the FREA frameworks built for cases like this. Check this out. It says the Financial Institution Reform, Recovery, and Enforcement Act gives the DOJ a powerful civil enforcement tool specifically designed for mortgage fraud cases involving federally backed loans. Key FREA advantages are lower burden of proof, preponderance of evidence versus beyond a reasonable doubt that we see having to be proved in criminal cases. Also got higher penalties, up to $1.1 million per violation. And we know Letitia James has racked up tons of penalties, so she'd be up for millions for sure. Then the broad scope covers false statements on federally backed loans, and there is no loss required. Fraud complete upon making false statements. It definitely sounds like, based off this right here, FRIA charges are definitely what Miss Letitia James fits the criteria of, since the fraud is completed upon making the false statements. And Letitia James falsified those documents, trying to state that her Virginia property was going to be her principal residence, even after initially stating that she was never going to live at this property. She's seen that she'd get some more favorable loan terms, interest rates, and she was like, you know what, I've gotten an idea. And then also with that Brooklyn property, we've seen the same exact thing happen, in which she misrepresented, conflated the value of this property, saying it was a 4-unit instead of its actual 5-unit state. Okay, you also, now we're getting to the juicy stuff, trying to figure out how exactly does FRIA calculate civil penalties. It says penalties are based upon the number of violations and the amount of gain or loss. It says the statute allows up to 1.1 million per violation, or the amount of gain, whichever is greater. And with James documented $100,000 plus benefit per property and decades of false statement, penalties could far exceed the statutory cap. So she's probably well over that $1 million violation Miss Letitia James has been asking for after coming after Donald Trump. And then we get to the evidence. 2 decades of false statements from Miss Letitia James. Says the smoking gun, Sterling Street property in Virginia. James signed a sworn power of attorney declaring intent to occupy 604 Sterling Street as her principal residence. The $219,000 mortgage was backed by Fannie Mae. And then it says August 2nd, 2023, there was an email stating that this will not be my primary residence. Is coming from Miss Letitia James. And then just 2 weeks later, August 17th, in a declaration, Letitia James said that she intended to occupy the property as her principal residence. As a result, over $100,000 in benefits through owner-occupied financing has been received by Letitia James. And in reality, though, Miss Letitia James never really moved in and launched the Trump trial in Manhattan 45 days later. Then we're starting to see the pattern form here with the Brooklyn property, where James has repeatedly claimed that her 296 Lafayette Ave building is a 4-unit property, despite its certificate of occupancy explicitly designating it as a 5-family dwelling. Says Con Edison records show 6 electric meters, 5 apartments plus common area. And then we have the official records versus James' claims. And of course, she lied. I mean, let's just be real. So she lied. And there is no way around it, Miss Letitia James. It's your time. I mean, she thought this time would never come. She thought Donald Trump would never see that seat of president of the United States ever again, and she was very wrong. Donald Trump got in there in a landslide fashion, and now it's all coming back on her. Then goes on to say that some may question the wisdom of prosecuting a sitting attorney general, but James herself eliminated this concern with her Trump prosecution, declaring that financial misrepresentations merit severe consequences regardless of wealth, power, or political affiliation. Her own standard applies. Let's be real. She's preached campaign that no one is above the law. So guess what? That means you as well, Miss James. So glad that this is finally coming out. Then we got a discovery. It says the civil case's secret weapon. Let's get into that. It says, unlike criminal cases, civil discovery offers quick access to the documents and testimony that can expose the full scope of James' scheme. Then we have a document production gold mine secretly inside of these civil cases. It says communications, complete email chains with mortgage brokers, loan officers, and attorney lenders could all be included. Financial records all in there, all loan applications, financial statements, tax returns, bank records, property documentation, the appraisals, inspections, certificate of occupancy, building permits. We're getting title records, title searches, insurance policies, deed transfers, and closing documents. Travel and residency, it says flight records, hotel receipts, credit card statements showing locations. We're getting official calendars, New York Attorney General's office schedules, proving Manhattan presence during required Virginia occupancy. We're getting utility records, Con Edison accounts, water bills, and other services establishing actual occupancy. Government filings, building permits, tax assessments, voter registrations, driver's licenses, internal communications. We're getting the New York AG office emails, memos, notes, documents about personal real estate matters, and then we're getting third-party records as well. Underwriting files, compliance reviews, and a risk assessment from lenders. It says, unlike criminal discovery, civil production happens quickly and comprehensively. If James invokes the fifth in depositions, it strengthens DOJ's hand in any criminal prosecution. If she doesn't, her testimony can be used against her later. Oh my goodness. So it's all we're seeing right here. This is definitely a document production gold mine coming from the civil case. I don't know why this wasn't on the first, thing on the docket. We should have thrown this up first. Civil suit, get all the needed information, the documents, the evidence, hard, concrete proof Miss Letitia James knowingly and willingly committed this fraud, and then go ahead and serve it up on a civil platter to the criminal prosecutors. Just that simple. And then we've got an open and shut case for Miss Letitia James, sticking her up for jail time and even billions of dollars of fines. Okay, now we're getting down to the track record of Faria's, and it says the federal courts consistently uphold Faria penalties for occupancy fraud, often with weaker evidence than James provided. So we've got a couple different cases where there was just circumstantial evidence, and we're seeing they face some very substantial penalties. $850,000 on the U.S. versus Bohm case, and they only had circumstantial evidence. The U.S. versus Shin case, they never even moved in, and there was a $1.2 million settlement. So it looks like Letitia James is in for one. If history has shown anything, we can see that they don't mess around. These FRIA cases definitely hold weight. You don't have to have that much evidence, and we've got all the evidence here of Miss Letitia James, literally a written confession on her actually committing a crime. And then we got why James' case is stronger than these other precedents. It says that most occupancy fraud cases rely on circumstantial evidence like utility records or rental agreements. James provided something prosecutors dream of: written proof of fraudulent intent. Her August 2nd email expressly denies intent to reside just 15 days before swearing the opposite under penalty of perjury. This creates an evidentiary record that few fraud cases can match. And we can see it right here. Letitia James, her document trail, and she's in for it. Okay, so we got a timeline now. The DOJ must act now. Why is that? Says there's time-sensitive factors. We got the 2026 election at play. James filed for re-election. Voters deserve to know if they don't already know. It's all right there in our faces. You guys better not disappoint me over in the state of New York. I heard everyone screaming and crying saying there is no way that she should be allowed to use New Yorkers' tax dollars in order to defend herself in a personal case. But if she gets reelected, I don't want to hear anything, guys, anything at all. And we got evidence preservation. Says memories fade, documents disappear. We definitely need to act fast. Public confidence, equal justice requires prosecuting prosecutors. If you did the crime, you can do the time. Taxpayer accountability, campaign donors, scheduling records, and taxpayer expenditures may all become discoverable if James used official resources while managing her mortgage filings or property claims. Then we got the statute of limitations coming up. Says Faria's 10-year window is running. Civil discovery can secure critical evidence while criminal prosecutors build their case. Bottom line is Letitia James built her career prosecuting financial fraud. She secured a $355 million judgment against Donald Trump for property misrepresentations. She declared that, quote, no one is above the law. Now she faced the same scrutiny backed by her own written confession of fraudulent intent. This case writes itself, and guys, I think we've got it all. I want to make sure we had the meat and the potatoes plus the side dish. We want it all. We've seen Letitia James trying to wiggle her way out of this every step of the way, and I just want to make sure I brought you guys the real, the everything on Miss Letitia James. Yo, there we have it, guys. Oh my goodness, now we're seeing that corrupt New York Attorney General Letitia James up for civil fraud charges alongside her criminal case that she already has pending. And it looks like she could be up on the hook for millions in payback per penalty. And we all know Letitia James, she likes to commit crimes behind the scenes. She just thinks that she's above the law while preaching that no one is above the law. She truly believed that, and now it's all coming down to fall right into her lap. Letitia James, it's a wrap. It's a wrap. I'm gonna just say it right here, guys. There is no way. In my heart, I don't believe she wiggles her way out of this. Initially, I thought that this was going to be another flimsy case. Maybe they're not going to be able to get her. Maybe they're not going to be able to nail her. But I'm just going to say, guys, she is cooked. Stick a fork in it. I mean, all the evidence is right there. It's laid out so nice and neat for the prosecutors. And then we bring that civil case alongside that criminal to parallel each other and kind of just ping pong back and forth. Oh my good, that's gonna ice the cake. There is no way that she doesn't get out of this. But at least seeing the inside of a cell or paying back millions of dollars, guys. But definitely hop in the comment section. Comments are open. I'm excited to hear what you guys are thinking. Also, make sure you guys please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. If you enjoy more content like this, catch you guys on the next one week.